Fired up, footballers. Welcome back to another episode of Spitting Fire. And we'll get right into it. So Nelson had his, what do they call those things? Roundtable press conference?
His delusions of grandeur.
Sure, yeah, his delusions of grandeur. So he had his little press conference, his little update press conference. And yeah, there's some juicy things, a lot of things to chew on in there, and we'll get right into it. So he started off with wishing Johan Goossens a happy birthday and wished him well on his road to recovery. So that's how we began. Hats off there. Classy move from Nelson Rodriguez, beginning with that.
I hope Goossens is doing well.
Yeah, obviously we hope Goossens is doing well at ADO Den Haag.
Oh.
So he's at a decent club. So he then pretty much began with talking about the frustrations of the club. So we pretty much started talking about the frustrations. It sounded like he meant in the manner of the players and Pano. Like he was talking about, the team right now is frustrated from the expectations.
Internally,
they want to be better. They want to have more points. It's kind of like he started off with that. So what do you think about that?
I think that. Of course they want to be better.
It makes sense, yeah.
It makes better, but Nelson didn't give them the group that they needed to have success. And this falls down on Nelson. So, anything about... I'm just mad at Nelson. He's just...
And then Nelson said a few more things, but he basically, went on and supported the lads like he should, but then he said that he thinks that they still can make the playoffs.
What support is he really offering? Because he's not backing these guys up with signings. He's had months upon seasons to make proper signings, and he's not backing up these guys. Oh, he could give them the idiosyncrasies of some words. Oh, some tacit support. But the real support...
Yeah, it's not invisible. There. It might be coming now, but I think he said we have 12 games left, and that's a little late for support. But yeah, so the lads, he began with saying the lads are a little...
He thinks that this team could make the playoffs?
Yeah. It's pretty much what he said. Not for verbatim, but he supports the team, and he still thinks that there's a chance that they can get in the
opium den did he come out of?
Okay.
Seriously.
And then after that, he broke into saying that there are at least there was a question asked about the transfer window as of now. He said how he brought in the 3 current transfers and that there's 2 standing offers on the table. One is for a cam. The other is for an attacker. I'm assuming it's a winger.
But there's 12 games left in the season, potentially, and they're not going to have any games to make an effect in this season because the season's already over, and we're about to be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs in like 2 games. So what's the point of all these platitudes?
Well, obviously next season this goes ahead. But there's news that Basti was staying.
Yeah, that's perhaps the biggest and best news.
Obviously whatever happening is now is going to trickle over until next year, and it's math. They're not mathematically out of making the playoffs, so you never know. You never know if he has a couple tricks up his sleeve. He said 2, pretty substantial investments. I think that's what he said. He used the word investments to describe the sum because he didn't want to, show us up his sleeve.
Supposedly, we'll put the Fire in the top tier of the 3 most spend.
He said that they
spend
the 4th. They have the 4th. They spend the 4th most out of all the MLS teams.
So what does this mean then? Because if they spend the 4th most in MLS already,
on David Arshakian,
and then they sign 2 new guys that will put them in the top 3.
God, what was our goalie last year? What was his name?
So what's the big deal?
What was his name? Our goalie last year? Jorge.
Oh
my God, Jorge Bava. Yeah, you're spending money on guys like Bava and Arcasian. So, but anyways, so I think still positive. We can be positive in this because apparently there's 2 standing offers. One is a cam, one is some sort of other attacker. I'm guessing it's a winger.
Striker?
Maybe it's another striker. But still, a couple of reinforcements, and he said that both of them might be able to come in. So we'll see.
This is the club of choice.
Yeah, he kept saying that. We're a club of choice. And the MLS is the destination.
But I won't be surprised when neither of these 2 signings don't choose the Fire.
Then he there's a question about Richard Sanchez. Someone asked if he was looking to upgrading goal. He was kind of turned off by the fact that McLean is coming back, and it seemed like there might be some, the fact that McLean has to come back this year might nip a transfer in the butt. He seemed a little turned off by it, but then he did say that, basically if an opportunity rises to upgrade, whether that be a forward, a midfield defender, or goalkeeper, he will do that. So you never know.
So 2 journeyman goalkeepers are preventing this club from signing a top first-team goalkeeper. Because Richard Sanchez is about to become a journeyman goalkeeper. He's a burgeoning journeyman goalkeeper. And McLean was a journeyman goalkeeper who has played minimal game. Most of his games time comes in USL. That's where he did has most success. And we're expecting either of those two to lead this team to the promised land. And they're both their being here is preventing him from signing an actual #1 goalkeeper. What is this, Bullocks?
I think it's concerning that Nelson isn't bringing. It sounds like he's not bringing in a goalie. I remember his last time he did this, he said he probably was going to bring in goalie to challenge Richard, and he really does. So this
McLean challenges Richard.
McLean did, but you can't really count on him going forward. But it's definitely a kind of a bummer hearing that. A goalkeeper isn't on his mind, but hey, that means we're going to have to live with Richard, and we'll see going forward how that looks. So, I don't know. Let's see. Oh, and then a question, then he started talking about Sector Latino. So there's some questions about Sector.
Here's the long
and
the short answer, no.
Yeah, he said they're not coming back. His position...
Not this year and not next year.
His position on it is pretty clear. And it sounds like they were basing it on the fact that the fan safety argument is what he kept saying. So, and then there's a question relaying into Section 8.
Smells of bullocks.
Then someone asked about Section 8 and, if they're in any, kind of hot water for supporting Sector. And he was like, basically no.
He said basically no, but they still can make their own decisions.
Yeah, but he kept saying that they're their own entity and they can make their own decisions, but
they could make the wrong decision, and Nelson will then kick them out like he does everybody else.
And then he also refused to really comment much on the little incident that happened last Saturday. He
said he needed to review it.
Yeah, review it, and there's an investigation. I'm sure he already reviewed it, and he probably was just ducking the question for the press conference. But so there's some Sector things brought up. Significant investment in the transfer.
The reporters were asking very good questions.
I got the next one. So another question came asking about the Baquero trade, how they traded some Tam and Gam to trade up, and then they traded him out. Essentially, he said, they still believe in Jan Baquero, but Collier and Campos have kind of been outplaying him, so they're going to keep them.
They passed him up.
Toronto was interested in Baquero, his services, and they had something that they needed, a right back. So that was kind of the story there. So they had Collier and Campos playing better, and they needed a right back, and he was an opportunity to get a right back. So that's kind of the story there.
Yeah, they still need like 5 other players too. Yeah. But
and apparently Hassler could play. He's another center mid.
Center mid, right back, right wing back, right mid. He could play a whole bunch of slew positions.
Questions about Pano. Okay, so then there's a question about Pano and how he was doing. Essentially, Nelson said he's met expectations, took over a project.
When's his contract
deal happening? And going to be better in the future. Seemed like it seems like he was still backing Pano.
Mm-hmm. I also back Pano. I don't hold any of the trials and tribulations of this season, despite his sometimes questionable lineup choices. But I feel like that is more down to the problems created and not fixed by Nelson Rodriguez on high.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Going down my list, Section 8 makes
so I find it hard to crucify Pano.
Okay, then he was asked about the squad rotation match against Dallas when they rotated the squad, about that, where they're concentrating their resources.
They're trying to win every competition.
That's basically what he said. They're trying to win every competition. That's what they always try to do, except that Dallas game. He said with the schedule, being how it was, they were.
Hold on, I gotta remove my eyes from the back of my head because I just rolled them too hard.
But
oh my God.
To me, it sounded like he was saying that if they win silverware, granted that's the U.S. Open Cup, that pretty much makes this his horrendous job GMing this team in the regular season.
I
guess that
it
makes it a success. But
JD
I don't
Power.
understand. Hey, the league is important, but if we win this cup, that makes our league performance makes it null and void. I mean, I don't get that at all. So
it's forgiveness. It's like, forgive us for our season because look, we got a U.S. Open Cup and this JD Power trophy.
and this JD Power. Okay, flipping over on the back. Okay, question about Mansueto.
Joe Mansueto.
So it seems like he basically said Andrew Hauptmann is still the #1 guy.
Roll my eyes also.
Yeah, he's the #1 guy. Happy. Basically, it sounds like he's happy for the support, and maybe he will throw his money around. I don't know.
He said that.
He really didn't talk too much about Mansueto.
He said what we said in our first video when we talked about Mansueto, that Mansueto is a believer in Chicago, loves soccer, is a big believer in Chicago, wants to invest in the city of Chicago, also wants to invest in Chicago soccer. That's what we said.
With that question, he spent more time talking about like a 3-year plan. He's working with some guy on like a new 3-year plan or something with the Chicago Fire.
Screw the last 3-year plan.
Yeah, I don't know.
That one was a mistake.
So, yeah, they touched on Mansueto, the new owner. Really didn't talk too much about it, but yeah, it sounds like he was excited for the support. So
talked more about Mansueto than he really did about Hauptmann.
Yeah, true.
Because Hauptmann does not deserve any words.
Yeah, you already said this. There's a question: can Sector Latino return? No.
No. Flat answer. One word. No. No love lost and tone deaf.
Then asked about grades, if he would grade himself. So what did he give himself the first time? Was it a D?
He was trying to give himself a C or a C+. Did I give myself a plus last time?
I thought it was a D.
Oh my God. Is there a grade worse than F?
Yeah. Z.
Not showing up? What's the...
Incomplete.
Incomplete? Because that is what he gets.
Well, yeah, it's going to be better now because he's actually making some moves. But I mean, it's what 3-4 months too late. So I guess it's a late assignment. It's a missing assignment. He's turning in late work right now with his transfer activities.
Late.
Players, I think the players
thrown
are
away
still
the
fighting.
Season.
Players are still fighting. Pano's still fighting.
He's thrown away a year of most of this team's career. Like every person on this team, Nelson has basically said, I don't give two rats behinds about your year this year.
Yeah.
I don't care. You're not going anywhere because I'm not helping you go anywhere. And that's how much he cares. And this is how much 2 jobs is impacting having 2 jobs is impacting his one job. That he can't get one job done. He can't get one actual big-time signing done before July 10th. Unlike all the rest of MLS, who has GMs that are far more capable. We got to get this SUM stooge out of here.
He looked tired compared to his first one.
Tired?
He looked tired.
But he sleeps so well with his decision on 3101. I'm upset.
Yelling. Doesn't work with the mics well.
You're right.
Okay. Touting clubs, positive growth, league play, doesn't matter though. Okay, he was asked a question about the league. He kept talking about Alphonso Davies being sold.
League is the best it's ever been.
League is doing well. Yeah. You want to comment on that? League is doing very well.
League is the best it's ever been. Mm-hmm. This is peak MLS, and hopefully peak MLS can keep going because we're riding a wave right now. And I mean, if more good signings come over, especially after this World Cup, maybe get a couple more youths, a couple more like the El Myrones as the next season goes on, MLS just keeps treading up.
I thought there's an interesting question about like legislation being done about having the MLS teams play more young players. And I just thought that was an interesting question. And Nelson was like, oh, that's up for each team.
Pano played 4 rookies this year, guys. I don't think we have any problems with rookies.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting question. I was like, I wonder what would happen if they did play a bunch of, youngins. But, I think that is a weird rule.
Look at the British World Cup team, though. Like, they have a whole bunch of youth kids, or at least 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds who are also playing at the top level in English Premiership.
Marcus Rashford.
Well, we got Christian Pulisic over in BVB, but that's about it. I mean, a couple others sprinkled around, too. But.
Okay, question about acquiring a Mexican international. He said no.
He doesn't look like that. He doesn't look at players via Polish, international, Mexican, Canadian. He just looks at players who fit.
Sure. I guess that makes sure.
No, just roll your eyes.
Okay.
He's a flat outlier. He takes guys he knows. Give me Fernando Torres.
Yeah. Yeah, or
Torres is available.
Bono's friends.
Ooh, Pele, can we get him?
Yeah, I you know what, as a especially for, you think, I guess, okay, let me catch myself. For a stadium that's struggling to sell out seats, and the demographics around the area and the support,
you're not prioritizing signing a Mexican national teamer? That's how delusional this general manager of the Chicago Fire is. That he doesn't pay attention to metrics, doesn't pay attention to his fans, doesn't pay attention to the business and the people that support the club. Doesn't pay attention to the people that support the club. When the people ask him, hey, do you want to support the club? No.
No, we will not listen to
this
your
This is how delusional. The king has no clothes.
Yeah. But still, yeah, very interesting. So it looks like he's not prioritizing Hispanic. He kept saying that there's no player of the Blanco ilk. Chicharito might be the closest.
You know what? They're probably looking at Chicharito and Santi Carzola. Those are the two players they're thinking about bringing over. Chicharito, Santi Carzola. Chicharito doesn't want to come to Chicago. Chicharito doesn't even want to go Chicharito doesn't even want to go to MLS. He wants to go to Liga MX. It's already said. Yeah, he said unless they're offering boatloads of cash, he doesn't even want to go here.
Shut up and take my money.
Ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
And Santi Carzola would be another potential option who's contract expiry from Arsenal, but when was the last time that guy played a game?
Question.
2-3 years ago?
Question. How does Chicago attract big-name players? He said 3 things. Nelson said 3 things.
Basti's going to be here next year.
He said Basti's recruiting, his journey, if he enjoys it,
Where's
if he
Philip
stays.
Lahm?
Relationships. That was the first thing he says. He's like, you got to build relationships and build relationships.
You
on
just
those relationships.
all over the relationship that you had with Sector Latino, Nelson. Are you sleeping too well to notice that?
And then he also said Chicago, just being a great city, is an attractive city.
Chicago is a great city.
So those were his 3 points about how to attract. Yeah. That's the next question. Actually, that's the next thing he said. Tinley Park is home for now.
Tinley Park?
I wrote TP. Toyota Park is home for now, and it doesn't seem like they're moving it.
It's 20, 30 years out unless barring some significant buyout.
They've been talking to Bridgeview, and seems like they're thinking about adding a little bit to the training facilities.
An extra
whether that
field.
Be at Bridgeview or off-site. I'm sure Bridgeview wants it on-site. But basically, he said their training facilities are fine. And, they can get better.
Here's when you realize that Nelson was
terrible and they need to be a lot better.
Here's when you realize that Nelson was on drugs. Is when he said, as soon as I got here 3 years ago, I've been talking with Andrew Hauptman about getting better, improved training facilities.
Yeah.
3 years we've been watching paint dry Valspar, and we have had nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. So this is your idea of looking must be just... and not talking. You might be looking at Hauptman and talking and not talking to him, but because it just felt like such a bold-faced lie.
And then he also made the comment, it's not going to be the Taj Mahal.
Great,
but
it doesn't have to be.
And that he's not into he's into preparation, not pampering.
That's fine.
That's fine. That's notable. But man, that also makes me a little bit nervous.
What they got right now is basically a hackneyed lemonade stand.
Yeah, it's like
it doesn't even have permits.
Yeah,
it's a joke, but.
Yeah,
but that's what they got right now. They have the equivalent of a kid's lemonade stand.
It's low.
Versus the big ambitious clubs with owners who actually care about their players having success and not getting injured and having a good place to both recover and practice and train and get better and essentially live and be a soccer player at. Those owners are not the Chicago Fire owners. That's the RSLs. It's the New York Red Bulls. It's the NYCFCs. It's the LAFCs. These are the clubs with ambition.
Didn't he?
And we have an owner who's so content being a wooden spoon winner 2 years in a row, and potentially making us perennial wooden spoon winners.
Now, James, didn't Nelson also say that no player has ever turned them down because of their facilities?
Yeah, right.
Isn't that like
Mike McGee said that the facilities were crap and they contributed significantly to his injuries that he had here.
Yeah. So
that's a Chicago guy who's not gonna cover it up for us. So Nelson will cover it up. I got on my list. This is Nelson at that press conference, just trying to shovel and cover up this huge pile of excrement.
I don't think it was as cringeworthy as the first one.
It was not.
The first one was so cringy.
It was not as cringeworthy.
Kept trying to sell that positive thing, and you're like, eee.
But you also at that point didn't realize that Nelson was gonna lie to you as much. And when you went into this, you're like, lie. And then you were a bit more accepting of all of his lies.
Well, he talked transfers, and you're like, okay, cool. Transfers. He talked a little bit about Sector. Basically, we are, their opinions stand what they are. Then what else did they talk about?
Pano's back. Basti's
back. Basti's back.
Well, they said that kind of
facilities are okay, but they need to be improved.
They might be improved. Maybe that's maybe that's part of the 3-year plan. So we'll see that in another 3 years.
But yeah. I don't. I'll hats off for him doing this.
Hats off for having the cojones to go step in
translating and him doing it in Spanish and English. I mean, that's got to be a pain.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I appreciate him doing that and answering all
Props
these questions.
to Nelson. He can lie in 2 languages.
Yeah, he can lie in 2 languages. But it's better than what sports team is it? The Bears? Is it the Bears that have been? Is it the Bears that have been criticized because their GM's not
Pace?
available? Yeah, I think it's Ryan Pace.
No,
right?
Ryan Pace is far more available.
I swear.
Pace, Hahn.
No, it's the Bulls. It's Pax and Gar.
Pax and Gar are never available. But they do
available,
sometimes appear on Chicago radio, unlike Nelson Rodriguez, who only appears
they have
on
a
these.
relationship on the radio.
Well, yeah. Well, all those other guys have relationships with actual sports media, actual larger sports Chicago media. The Fire people only have friendships with the Fire reporters, and even those they're trying to burn down and trying to take away credentials from certain people if they don't toe the line. So this is the kind of relationship that you're trying to cultivate with the media, with your fans. This makes no sense. This is the backwards type of thinking. They're talking about a brand rebrand. USL can't come soon enough. To potentially challenge these guys and light a fire up their butt.
My last comments is what I'm going to take away from this is I'm only going to think about the transfers. That's the positive thing that I'm going to think about. Those potentially adding those 2 transfers. That's what I'm taking away. Hopefully we add that Cam. And you're right. It probably is a backup striker. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a backup striker that they're trying to buy. Striker? Or maybe it's another winger because they don't have wingers.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
That is what I'm thinking about, hoping to see in the next couple of days some transfer news.
I'm just thinking about how Nelson has derailed the season, and he continually trots himself out there on this dog and pony show with balloons and cake and candles all for himself, when he has had none of the successes that deserve those rewards. None of the successes that deserve the reward of getting an extra 3-year contract. None of the successes that deserve the reward of getting a second job with the Chicago Fire. None of the successes that deserve for orchestrating a deal with Joe Mansueto to get him to help. He got paid millions of dollars to help apparently facilitate this deal with Joe Mansueto. So he was doing that, and he's not worried.
Maybe that's why he ducked the
question.
So
maybe that's why he's not concentrating on bringing in players to this team.
No,
he's got too many. He's got too many hats.
Yeah, he has too many hats.
And he also, if he's not that great at soccer acumen, if he thinks that Neymar is one of the best 6s on the planet, then he needs to hire a technical director who actually knows soccer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In our eyes of the fans, I mean, the GM hat that we see is not very good. So we'll see. We'll see what he has up his sleeve going forward.
He's hit or miss, and he's got a lot more misses.
Maybe the transfers he's pulling in this year are really for next year. So. We'll see.
Even then, why wasn't he doing that in March? The other big thing is about all these transfers is these transfers make no difference for the season. I'm gonna let you guys in a little secret. These transfers that they're bringing in today, tomorrow, this next week, they're not going to make any difference on the season.
You never know.
Maybe they help us in a one-off game in this final against whoever we're going to be playing, Houston or maybe helps us in the U.S. Open Cup, but. Past
you don't know who he's bringing in.
Well, I'm telling you this. The guy that they brought in for center back help, Del Greco, he's not even ready. He's not even ready, and we're already halfway through the season. But he's already been on the team for already 2-3 weeks. He's already been on the team for 2 weeks, still not ready. But he hasn't been playing since March. He's going to bring in another player, 2 players from Europe. If these guys play in the World Cup, they still need rest. If they haven't been playing World Cup, they still need rest. If they haven't been have been playing, they still need time to assimilate with the team, and that's going to take more than the 4 games at the end of the season for us to get that community shield.
I agree.
So I'm so angry at the job he's done. He wants to pretend like he did a great job.
Yes,
he's pretending.
Yes, I'm more so circling what he said about spending maybe significant investment, having a significant investment in these 2 transfers. Mm-hmm. Again, that is what I'm holding my hat on, and we'll see.
My biggest thing: 0 consequences. Absolute 0 consequences for Nelson Rodriguez. And that is a double standard at this club. Everybody at the club, the fans, the players, the coach, the crew, the personnel, the employees, the security, the section 8 and sector Latino, and down to the little fans are all responsible for themselves. And all responsible to a certain code of conduct, except for Nelson Rodriguez, who has 0 accountability, has 0 consequences for making mistakes, has 0 consequences for failing, and he gets rewarded. So I'm done with this guy, but he's going to be here for another 3 years because we got an unambitious owner who owns 51% of the stake of the club, who thinks that this guy's his stooge. Hopefully Mansueto buys 2% and cans this guy. I'm done. Right, keep Pano. Let Pano keep growing. Let Pano keep growing. Nelson, he can grow. Cut that weed. Snip that dandelion. That thing's done. All right. We're too worked up. All right, guys. Yep, that was the press conference with Nelson Rodriguez, and We'll see you guys later. And if you enjoyed the analysis, comment if you have anything to add or correct, and or comments that you want to add to the conversation. We're interested. All right. See you guys later. Subscribe for more. Spitting Fire.